It's 2014. YouTube is almost 9 years old. Minecraft is around 5 years old. And in a year we would get memes that would be like this. One evening when I was at my cousin's house, me and my cousins were watching our older cousin play this little game called Five Nights at Freddy's. He was doing really well, very well, during those 5 nights, but one time when we were watching him play, in the middle of it, this happened. The office went dark. No power. No lights. We couldn't use the doors. And then he came. Freddy. And I'm pretty sure you all know what happens next. When it comes to FNAF 1, I think it's the scariest game in the entire series. Compared to everything else, its eeriness and disturbingness was truly scary to me when I was a kid. This is all thanks to our beloved creator, Scott Cawthon. You see, the reason Scott made FNAF 1 in the first place was because he was a struggling game dev trying to take care of his family. Barely able to pass by until one day he made one game called Tyke Sons Lumberco, and people hated it, disliked it. Why? This was because the animals in the game looked like robots imitating, animals. So instead of Scott giving up, he has this bright idea to make one more game, just one more game, and he made Five Nights at Freddy's. And it was such a big hit, with all these popular YouTubers like Markiplier, CodeXKinch, and even Jacksepticeye, who was playing FNAF at the time. It increased its popularity extremely. FNAF 1's game design, on the other hand, was great. The way you had to defend yourself with the doors and the lights, really only having so much power in this disturbing environment with the random instances of music, Foxy humming, Freddy laughing, seeing Bonnie shadow through the window, and when Freddy toys with you when the power gets out. This really made the game amazing to me, and was amazing to people as well. People were so committed to beating a mode during the time, 420, that was considered, at the time, well, impossible because even Scott didn't think it was possible. Today, now, people beat it all the time. FNAF was so popular, a song made about the series blew up so much that today it has over 360 million views. FNAF's existence in that short period of time changed the internet so much, it wasn't a surprise that Scott Cawthon would make a second game, FNAF 2. FNAF 2 was mechanically so much different from FNAF 1. Instead of using the doors, you had to use a mask to defend yourself by fooling the animatronics. It didn't work on Foxy though, because I guess he was on a relapse, the way he jumps through the entire hallway just to kill you. We found you! Also, there's the puppet. You had to wind the music box before the puppet also jumps through the whole entire hallway just to kill you. This was made so, you wouldn't cheese the game as much. When I look back on it now, I didn't find FNAF 2 scary as a kid. I found it more of a funny thriller, scary type. I just didn't find it really scary. I guess because it was more aggressive than FNAF 1, kind of. And I do say aggressive because it's max mode, 1020, which some people would call RNG hell. Well, was RNG hell. People have found ways to not have the RNG screw themselves, but 90% of the time, it is an RNG hell. But what makes FNAF 2 really interesting for me was the advancement of the lore. Yeah, I'm never saying that again. Which would make one man go insane, and I wonder who that would be. Probably needs to be put on asylum too. The lore was shown with small mini-games when you ultimately get yourself mauled by the animatronics. As time would go on, people would figure out the entire story of what happened at the pizzeria. Mainly, the man in purple, the purple guy, the man behind the slaughter, was one behind the massacre of 6 children. We would soon later learn his name would be William Buckingham Afton. No, Buckingham is not his middle name, I made that up. This was my favorite thing about FNAF 2 was the investment of the lore in the story in general, and we would get more lore in the coming game, FNAF 3. But yeah, FNAF 2 was interesting to me, and I really do hope people aren't still debating about that lore, because it's been almost 10 years with that one. So anyway, let's get on to FNAF 3. When it comes to FNAF 3, it was good. I know this is a very popular opinion that you probably heard 50th time on Twitter or Reddit or seen 5 videos of that opinion. But for a game that was made in a few months with Scott cranking up these games like SpongeBob making Krabby Patties, it was good. Even though at times it was very underwhelming, i.e. the jump scare. What I appreciate about this game is that it can feel stressful sometimes as you don't really have anything to defend yourself other than this old audio lure and vent snares that are designed to screw you over anyway. If you didn't look at one camera for a second, he would have been already there. As well as the Phantoms, yeah, they were really fun to go against.
Who the fuck are you? Hello?
Not the most annoying thing I've ever experienced, other than a Sombra. But what I really do appreciate is how the placement of Springtrap was on the cameras, because he was hiding really well when I think about it. When I actually get to see the images of the camera placements and actually seeing where Springtrap was, I'm like, oh, so this is why probably no one knew where he was at the time. It really goes on the emphasis that this is something more, as he seemingly knows the camera's blind spots. I'm not trying to say Springtrap knew exactly where the cameras was, but I'm pretty sure he had to have seen them and tried to, well, hide, obviously. Also, the error mechanic, which was really confusing to understand as a kid, and also was kind of annoying, but still learning about it today, like, I didn't know ventilation error could cause you to hallucinate multiple spring traps, which I learned years after the game was released. Such a mechanic would have been so cool in future FNAF games, but what the game was mostly obviously about was the lore. Okay, I said I was gonna do it again and I'm really sorry. And we get to learn that Springtrap was William Afton all along. Yeah, bro is super dead. You see, he was getting chased by his sins, i.e. the crying children ghosts, so he tried to hide in his spring bodysuit. But there was one problem. He forgot that his suit suffered from the Wizard of Oz witch syndrome, and that literally any sort of water would cause it to snap. And guess what happened? After we see this cutscene, we get the bad ending, and for you to get the good ending, you have to find these little clues that would have took like a few weeks to find out. You would get the good ending, and that was it. The story was finally over. The kids finally get to pass on, and the man behind the slaughter would burn as FNAF 3's building was set on fire. The story was finally over. Scott made a 4th game. Yeah, but there was kind of a reason why he did that. FNAF 3 during the time was considered, well, bad. It was considered bad. Like, everyone found it underwhelming, with the problem being obviously the jump scare. So Scott was thinking in his head, they want scary. They want something horrible. Horror? I'll give them horror. And what we got was FNAF 4. FNAF 4's core design was to feel like a nightmare. A horrible nightmare. Instead of being haunted by these ghosts of victims, you were rather hunted down by these demons that looked like robots. And it also had doors, like the good old times, and a breathing mechanic. Yeah, for FNAF 4, it was all about audio, in probably the most silent place possible. What made it scary was the fact that it was just silent, with only really the clock and the ambience playing out loud. FNAF 4's animatronic design was nightmarish, and it was really good at it. The way the animatronics, while looking like robots, they felt more like demonic creatures trying to pretend like robots. The way how they acted, how they just stood at your door breathing, waiting for you to put the flashlight instead of grabbing you, Foxy running to your closet if you didn't see him in the hallways, and Freddy, who would use his plushies so he could summon himself. It really felt like these weren't robots, rather something else. Or they were probably just fake creatures to scare you because your father was William Afton. Yeah, illusionary discs, haha, I love that theory. Speaking of theories, let's talk about the lore of this game. Speaking more interesting, the Crying Child. After every night, you will play a minigame playing as the Crying Child on his daily basis, getting scared of pretty much everything because his life kinda sucks. His brother keeps scaring him, he gets scared of the animatronic because something happened, probably saw a body, who knows. But on one fateful day, in Fredbear's family diner, probably on the Crying Child's birthday if I remember correctly, his brother and his friends decided it would be funny to force him to give Fredbear a kiss. And well, as you know the meme says, we all know what happens next.
Was that the bite of 87?
The Crying Child's frontal lobe was bit off and he was rushed to the hospital. As he dies, his second pal friend Fredbear says he will put him back together. He promised he will put him back together. I still don't know how you're gonna get a spare frontal lobe though. And that was the true ending of FNAF. How one child's death either made a man go insane or he was already insane, killing a bunch of children and stuffing himself into a suit, weighing his demise as he burns in FNAF 3. 4 games, 1 story. This concludes the tragedy of the after. Okay, we got another game called FNAF Sister Location. What the f? FNAF Sister Location was not like the other 4 games. It was more of a point-and-click adventure game where you looked after futuristic animatronics. Did I mention this takes place in the 80s or 90s? I guess Afton was some sort of genius. But anyways, we play as his son, Michael Afton, who we were probably playing as in FNAF 1, 3, and maybe 2. FNAF Sister Location was amazing to me as a kid, even though I was in middle school, so pretty much everything amazed me, really. And this game was heavily advised on the lore, as we were just doing nightly maintenance on these killer robots. But don't worry friends, we have a helper with us. The helper being Baby. Yeah, she guides us on how not to die of horrible deaths. So while you're fighting for your life on a daily basis, or should I say nightly basis, you finally get led to the scooping room. Even if you didn't follow Baby to the scooping room and found yourself into the breaker room, I think it's called, where you had to fight the Ender boss, which was considered partially annoying but wasn't hard. But sadly, the scooping room is the canon ending anyways, so Michael gets scooped while just standing there because he ain't a bright person anyways, and gets his body stolen by Ender. After that happens, Ender takes Michael's identity until he rots away. Ends up getting puked out into the sewers. Before he could die, Elizabeth, his sister, who was Baby because she got turned into ice cream after being told not to be close to that animatronic, tells Michael that he will not die. He will never die. Once you beat this game's max mode, you will get to see where Michael tells his father William that he's going to find him, and in FNAF 3, he most likely burns him in the building. And finally, that's where the story gets to end. 5 games, 1 story. Okay, this is getting fucked. FNAF Pizzeria Simulator seemed like another of Scott's meme games. Turns out, it was a whole entire game, with you transitioning from giving kids whole slices of pizza to Scrap Baby in her new outfit staring you down as the game starts. What I can say about FNAF Pizzeria Simulator is that it's my second favorite in the entire series, with obviously FNAF 1 holding a special place in my heart. But the reason I like FNAF 6 just as much was how disturbing the nights were. With this time having 2 big-ass vents, which basically anything was ready to pop out, basically no defense, and a loud-ass computer. There was also a tycoon mode as well, where you could make your own pizzeria, and also get sued on a regular basis, and buy dangerous animatronics, which is basically what every corporation does nowadays. We get little riddles and more stuff about the story hidden in the small minigames, so we get more lore. See, I stopped trying to be MatPat. But the big thing in this game was the true ending, with Henry ending the entire story with a bang, or more so, a fire, as he burns the entire pizzeria down to nothing. As we learned, this pizzeria was actually nothing but a trap for the remaining souls. And that is where the story can finally end. You playing as Michael could now finally rest as he got all the remaining souls. Burn Trap, Scrap Baby, the abomination that is Molten Freddy, as well as Lefty, which was specifically designed to encase the puppet. Finally, Henry could rest as he saved his daughter. Well, at least what he could do for his daughter. And that is the story, the beautiful story of FNAF. 6 games, 1 story. A story of how one restaurant chain, tragedy and tragedy over and over again, finally gets to end. Henry, Michael, rest of the souls get the rest, as William Afton, an ultimate custom night, deserves everything that comes to him. He is now in hell, forever tortured by his creations over and over and over again. That is the true story of Five Nights at... Oh, for crying out loud! Okay, I'm just gonna talk about Security Breach for a tiny bit before I finish this off, and probably talk about both the Help Wanted in a different video, as that's entirely VR. But holy crap, this story just keeps going. With Glitch Trap, Vanny, hell, whatever Gregory is he a robot? Is he a human? Is he a ghost? Is he a cyborg? Is he damn bitty bad with a mind controlling him? Okay, first off, let's talk about Glitch Trap, which in my opinion is a really cool idea that even when William is finally dead and gone, his evilness still remains in some weird virtual fashion. Security Breach, when it first came out, was rough. Really rough. Like, really rough. With all the bugs and the game design being really iffy, you couldn't really blame people for not liking it at all. With the ending being really weird on what was canon or not, because there were multiple endings. And the DLC Ruin showing it was probably one of the endings where you did the Princess Quest stuff to kill Glitch Trap and save Vanessa. I guess it was okay for that to be the ending. I really did like the Burn Trap ending though, but with the problem being, well, it shouldn't have to be burning in a fiery grave. At least the DLC Ruin was really great in my opinion, with the horror it was giving off, with Monty having no legs crawling towards you, and with a new FNAF game coming out, maybe we can see where the Lord takes us then. But other than that, it's been a wonderful decade of FNAF. I don't regret growing up with it. I like to again thank Scott for making such a wonderful series, in the sense of the games being amazing, not like, you know, child murder and stuff. Thank you, Scott, and Steelwool for taking on the FNAF mantle. 10 years of this, I can't believe it's been 10 years. Happy anniversary, FNAF. I hope you all enjoyed this video I made. I'll end it off here with Fredbear breaking it down, and again, thank you, Scott. I hope you have a good morning, or a good night if you're somewhere else. Thank you for watching.